some nonsense is going on in Destiny, and if you guys haven't seen this, Riven's wishes are the thing that's going on right now. And if you haven't played Destiny in a while, it's in a little bit of a dry spell here. It's kind of crap, actually. And you would expect, right, an immense amount of hype around the final shape, but that's just not the case. That's just not the case at all. And I'm not really sure where Bungie thought it was cool to kind of phone in this season, but that's 100% what they did. It's literally just the same kind of thing that we've done for the last few years, despite the fact that we talked to Bungie about this. We had conversations, they responded, they gave us confirmation that things would change. They said by the second season of Lightfall, which was Season of the Deep, things will change, we'll change the seasonal model, and things will be different. We hear you, right? And apparently, that fell on deaf ears because it's literally just the same seasonal content this season that it's been for the last, 2 years. It's like you go to the helm, you talk to a person, you go do a mission for 10 minutes, and then you come back and you talk to them again, and then there's a second part where you go and you do the seasonal activity, and then you come back and you talk to 3 people in the helm, and it's done. And you're done Destiny for until next week. And that is literally you get some voice lines, and that's how they advance the story. There's no gameplay that feels like the Destiny that made it as popular and as good as it is. And the gameplay for the seasonal stuff, it's really, I don't want to say it's really bad, but it's really the same. It's really the exact same thing that we've had, which is, sad. But the season wrapped up a couple of weeks ago, but they extended the season for an additional 3 months. So now they have to fill that 3 months, right? So they have time that they don't have any gameplay made for. And what they've done is they've added Riven's wishes. And for those of you who don't know, you can get the craftable raid weapons from the Last Wish. You can get some exotics if you decide you want some of the Lightfall exotics, which is even available to the free-to-play players. If you come back and you don't own Lightfall, you can do these Riven's wishes because it's all Dreaming City content, and it's easy enough that you can go in and do it even as a free-to-play player and grab yourself some of the Lightfall exotics. Well, I think that's kind of cool. The actual doing the Riven's wishes is the most boring shit I've ever seen. So this week, it's going to change every week, but this week, to get your wish token that you need to exchange for the Last Wish weapons or the Lightfall exotics, you go to the Dreaming City and you do public events. And you don't just have to do one public event. You have to do 3 of the Rift Breaker, I believe it's called. Whatever it is, Rift whatever, public event. You have to do 3 of those, and then you have to complete activities on the Dreaming City. And so that means you could do Lost Sectors. If you want to do the Legend Lost Sectors, you could do those, or the Master Lost Sectors. But they only give you 6% progress at a time. And because 6% progress at a time doesn't actually get you anywhere, you end up spending an hour in the Dreaming City, which would be fine, except the Dreaming City came out 5 fucking years ago, bro. I have done every single public event 100 times. I've done every Lost Sector on the Dreaming City 100 times. This isn't content. This is just the same thing from an expansion 3 DLCs ago. It's not even new. They didn't even change anything. It's not even you go there and oh, but now there's this other part that's different than it used to be. Nah, no, it's not. You literally go there and it is the exact same thing that it was when Forsaken launched. And that just feels lazy, dude. It's lazy gameplay. When you go and you do the public events, it's the red squares, which means that you can, in the 5 weeks, if you do this for 5 weeks straight, you can craft any of the raid weapons that you want, which most people are just going to craft the rocket launcher because the rocket launcher is top tier, one of the best rockets in the entire game. So why wouldn't you use that one? But that being said, I don't know why if you would want you can craft the scout rifle, you can craft the bow. If you want, you can craft the fusion rifle. But you get 6 total weeks of these Riven's wishes, and they say that they're challenging gameplay, right? So when they say challenging, you would expect I don't know, do a Legend or Master Lost Sector, complete the dungeon. The dungeon in the Dreaming City is not actually part of it because it's not free to play. So instead of using the Shattered Throne dungeon, which is actually part of the Dreaming City stuff, they had to make the Prophecy dungeon the dungeon that you have to do, and I think that's week 6, but the Prophecy dungeon is the one that you do because it's free to play. And so I went and I did it today, and I wanted to see, is this worth your time? And I feel if you really, really want the rocket launcher or one of these Last Wish weapons, I feel like there's maybe a case to be made that, you know, maybe it's worth your time. But when you really think about it, if you haven't played in so long that you don't have these weapons already, are you really going to play it? Like, are you really going to come back and grind out for 5 straight weeks, like 2 hours every week, just to get one of these weapons? Like, probably not, right? I feel like most people are going to do like 1 or 2 weeks of these objectives, and then they're probably going to fall off, and the time that they spent will probably just be wasted. And that feels bad. It feels bad. You really want Destiny to do the thing that it said it would do. You know, you want them to come back and give you the content that they said they would give you in the second season of Lightfall, but the seasonal model's still exactly the same. As far as I can tell, this is going to be what we have as far as content goes for the next, like, 6 weeks. There's also Moments of Triumph. If you care about your Moments of Triumph, like, title or your, the shirt, I believe you can get some actual, like, real-life gear if you complete some of the Moments of Triumph stuff. You know, if that's up your alley, then awesome. But I feel like there really isn't much to do in Destiny, and Riven's Wishes is it's not the way, bro. Like, it's not the thing that is gonna scratch the itch and make it better. When you go to Mara Sov and you see the options that she has available for the different raid weapons that you can pick up, they have rolls on them, and when you purchase the raid weapon, it's a fixed roll, and I don't think that was the right choice on Bungie's part. I think that they definitely could have changed that up a little bit so that you got a random roll of the actual raid weapon that you were trying to get, because when the fixed roll system is implemented, you can almost guarantee that Bungie will never put the roll that you would actually want on the weapon as the thing that you can purchase, because if they did, there would be no reason for you to come back and actually do the content week after week to finish your red squares and craft the weapon so that you can get the perfect roll on it. There is a way around this, though, and I figured I should share it with you guys. So, if you have never done the Last Wish raid before, and I know there's a lot of people who are free-to-play players that have never done it, there's going to be a lot of people who just don't raid because it's just too much of a hassle to find a group or to go and be with that many people. To get this raid weapon and to get random rolls on it, there's a little trick you can do where if you complete the first week of the Riven's Wishes bounties, you will be able to you'll be able to choose which one of these you want to drop. You choose the Apex Predator, right? Because like I said, most people are going to want the rocket launcher. And then you want to go back into the Last Wish and you want to look up how to get the hidden chests without having to actually do the raid. So it's pretty easy. You go in, you just do, you go up to the wish wall, you put in the code, and then it takes you straight to the place where the chest is, and then you kind of just cross some terrain, and you're there. It literally takes like 10 minutes. There's 2 chests that you can get inside of the Last Wish without actually having to do the raid at all, and you can get them solo. And once you have these weapons in your loot pool, you can actually get them to drop from the chests themselves. And what that does for you is it kind of gives you a workaround for Bungie's fixed roll system that they have going on in the helm at Mara Sov when you turn in these bounties every week. So you can get a random rolled version of the rocket launcher from these chests. Assuming that you only have the rocket launcher unlocked, the chances are pretty high that you'll end up getting one, and you may get the roll that you need without actually having to do all 5 weeks of the Riven's Wishes event, so that you can, you don't necessarily need to craft it. The cool thing about being able to get around the fixed roll system that they have going on at the helm is that you can also do it on all 3 characters. And the reason that's great is because you have an incredibly high chance to get a decent roll on one of the weapons that you want, assuming it's the only weapon that you have in your loot pool. If you have never gotten any of these other weapons to drop, if you've never done the raid at all, if you pick up just the Apex Predator, that and the armor will be the only possibility that you can get out of those chests. So if you do get the reconstruction bait and switch roll, you can then use your remaining 5 weeks to decide on something else or just not do the content entirely. It's really up to you, but this is kind of like the best way to get around Bungie's very obvious bait to get you to do this content week after week.